everybody, it's Sophie and Marco Dish Out on the Movies. We are doing our final Halloween selection for our annual Halloween month of 2020. And we are reviewing a TV episode today of the Wishbone series. It was a PBS series. And this is the Wishbone, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And I'm sure everybody is familiar with that story. And it premiered in October 15th or October 1997. And for those of you who don't know, this is Wishbone was a Jack Russell Terrier. And then he had his owner, Joe, and the actor who played him was Jordan Wall. And then there was David and Samantha, Joe's two friends, and that's Adam Springfield and Christy Abbott. Then there's Joe's mom. Her name's Mary Criswell, and they were not related. It just was that way. And then there was the voice of Wishbone, who was spoken by Larry Brantley. And Wishbone himself, his real name is Soccer. Yeah, he's actually passed away, but that was his name, which is weird. And then there was the owner of Sports and Games Sporting Goods Store, and his name was Julio Cedilla. Okay, well, this is a children's TV series, and this would feature Wishbone and his family. And they would have something going on in their daily lives, and then that would coordinate or parallel a famous piece of literature. And in this case, because it was near Halloween, it was The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And I'm so glad that Marco picked this episode, because it was post-election week, and it was driving me crazy, and my emotions were like a roller coaster, and it was a week like no other, I believe, at least not for me in a long time. So this was a nice diversion from that, and it was very pleasant, and it's very good, and I think it's a safe choice. You know, if you're a parent, you have kids, this is something you could watch with them, and you would enjoy it, and so would they, because the dog is just really cute and very well trained. It's just a really nice episode. So first of all, the episode focused on superstition, basically, either by Joe, the boy, who's like, I don't know, late middle school or early high school, and he had a superstition about his socks. In other words, he played basketball, and so he would wear the same socks to every practice. Well, he sweated and from playing so hard, and they stunk. And it's like into the season, and they needed to be washed, but his superstition was if he washed them, his play would be bad. It would affect it somehow. So he had to wear the same pair of socks to every practice for the whole season. And so people were starting to notice, and anyway.
And believe it or not, it never plays into anything in the whole episode.
Sure doesn't.
But it's just they wanted to add some sort of a superstition element. And I'm just saying that because that's one of the only flaws of this episode. The fact that, you know, they made a big deal about that. Even at the end of the episode, when they won the Scavenger Hunt, they made a big deal about his socks. And he even said, "Oh, thank God for wearing my socks." And it's like, you know, this is stupid, because I thought this was supposed to be, you know, trying to teach kids, you know, a good message. And they showed the whole episode that the reason they won the Scavenger Hunt was because of his friends and him working together, putting their heads together, not because of his socks. and so they should have really, you know, changed that. I didn't even remember that from watching it as a kid, that he was so stupid that he said that his socks were the reason that they won. What a little something.
Well, he also had a superstition about Halloween. He didn't really like going out on Halloween night because there was this old house and everybody called it a haunted house. And a long time ago, he and his friend David, because his friends are David and Samantha, those were his best friends. He and David went out and they went to this, his friend David, I guess, dared him to go into the house, and he saw a pair of glowing yellow eyes and scared the bejesus out of him. And so from then on, he's been a little wary and uncomfortable about going out on Halloween, and the scavenger hunt is on Halloween. Now, the parallel story is Ichabod has a lot of superstitions, and the main one is that there is a headless horseman on horseback, and after some time in the night, maybe after midnight, he goes around, he carries a pumpkin in one arm, and he rides his horse on the other, and if you cross his path and he doesn't like you, he'll throw the pumpkin at you, or he'll go after you in some way, and I don't know, something might happen. And so that's his superstition. So those are the parallel stories. And Wishbone, of course, the little dog, he plays Ichabod Crane, the superstitious character.
He's a gold digger.
In Sleepy Hollow. And
you know how
that's it.
You know how there's bimbos? Well, Wishbone is Ichabod. He's the male version, you know. He's what you call a Jimbo.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, because you didn't catch this, but apparently in the actual book, it's really a big part of the story that he's a gold digger. You know, he's a Jimbo because he wants to marry this rich girl because she's rich. And so that's why when he first comes up to the farm, he's looking at all the I never even caught this either as a kid, but he was saying that one could live quite comfortably in this
That's true. I remember. I did read the book or the story or whatever. Yeah, I remember that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the best things about this episode, because this episode's fantastic. I mean, out of everything this whole month, ironically, this is the best thing that we watched. I mean, let's just be honest. Road Games was really good for being what it was, which was a foreign film made with not much of a budget, and it was up against all odds, and then pretty much everything else this month kind of sucked. I mean, The Craft, all those movies sucked. But then this Wishbone was really, really, really good. But God, this Wishbone episode, how could it be, Safi, that this is the best thing that we watched the whole month? I mean, that's embarrassing. This is a TV show from the 90s. It's just this obscure little show where it taught kids how to read.
Or be interested in reading.
Yeah. And this is the best thing we watched?
I guess that's the way it is.
I mean,
it is what it is.
What is that supposed to be from, Safi?
Oh,
what is that from, The Irishman?
No, it's from...
that was different.
I just won't even say what it's from. But anyway, well, it's from a lot of things. It's a very well-known saying.
Oh, not in my hood. I mean, not in my environment. I never hear you say that before. But anyways, this episode's really good. I mean, first off, let's just like break this down from like everything, every angle possible, to just explain to you how good this is. Because first off, you got the cast. You got Joe, and he sucks in this episode, but I like him. He's a good character. David is a good character. Samantha's a good character. Joe's mom is a good character. DeMott the bully is a good character. I mean, every character is great. And it, especially the best part of this episode is Wishbone himself.
Yeah.
Both the dog and the actor. The voice actor, he puts all of this depth on into these lines, like that line that I said where he's like, one could live quite comfortably in this environment. Like, he made that line sound really, really, like, hilarious, especially as an adult. Like, that's another thing, too. There's a lot of, like, little, subtle adult humor moments from the voice actor just saying these lines in a certain way where different types of people would interpret them from different ways. Right, Sophie? I mean, what are your thoughts on the cast? I mean, obviously, Joe.
I thought everybody was really good and
Joe
fit the
sucked.
part. It's a very complete series. I think that's the thing we've had problems with all these other shows.
True.
With there are so many pieces missing.
Yeah.
Major pieces, not just little things, or just stuff. It was just so ridiculous. You know, when you're doing a story, unless it's a comedy or something, even a comedy, there has to be a little bit of realism in it, or it just comes off as fake, totally fake, and people lose interest. They don't want anything to do with it. And this show is just very complete. They have for the Wishbone, not the Wishbone, but the Sleepy Hollow part. They spared no expense in costumes and sets.
It looks really nice because, well, most of it is outside in this great fall environment with all the different colors and everything, and it looks really good. A lot better than a lot of their other adaptations of books. And I think probably this is the best episode of Wishbone. Maybe. I kind of like the Prince and the Pauper one better. But yeah, Joe, I just don't like his behavior in this episode, the way that he...
It's kind of childish.
Well, it's the fact that they never, like, make him learn a lesson. Like, I watched all these other episodes where he learns a lesson. And in this episode, for some reason, they just let it be that he believes that the socks made him win this scavenger hunt, which is a bunch of crap.
It's a bunch of hooey.
That's... What the fuck?
And, they also, their effects, they have really nice special effects, and they have a little part at the end of the episode after they do the conclusion of the daily life one where they had the end of the scavenger hunt, and then they had the end of the Sleepy Hollow part. They had this little educational part at the end, or they might talk about something that went on in the episode.
Okay.
So
don't mention that, Sophie. That sucked.
I liked it. I thought it was fine. I don't know why Marco has such a problem with it.
It's so funny. They're like, oh, look, kids, we're going to teach you about lighting. And then they show all these machines worth, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, kids need to know what that is. Like, they're ever going to get to that. Like, it's just ridiculous. They should not be learning about these stupid machines. I mean, there's a machine that creates a lightning effect. I mean, how stupid is that? How lazy and... But that doesn't have anything to do with the actual episode, Sophie. Let's not even mention that because...
Well, I think because it's a PB episode that they might have had to incorporate something like that, a learning part, and I'm not for sure, but because they're supposedly it's PBS and they're putting on it's a quote educational channel, and they teach not only adults but children about all these different shows.
I did not appreciate that because I think that it's a huge waste of time.
I don't know.
You're teaching kids about lighting machines that cost more money than they're going to have ever.
But it just might be a condition of their show.
Well, they should have focused on another aspect. I would have liked to have seen some interviews with the cast like some interviews, and that's another thing too. Joe's
That
mom.
would be fun.
Joe's mom is basically Jamie Lee Curtis but talented, and and so I just wanted to get that out of the way because we probably won't review Wishbone for a while, and it's too bad that there wasn't. I don't think there's ever an episode because there's episodes focused on different characters. And I don't think she ever got an episode like a Mother's Day style episode, and I think that would have been cool. But with this episode, I did have a couple of issues. One really big issue that I had, even as a kid. I mean, even as a little kid when I watched this, and I love it as I do now, I had this problem. So obviously, Joe, as a kid, sees glowing eyes in this haunted house as a kid, and he also hears a voice that says, what did the voice say, Safi? When he was a kid, and it said, hello, maybe? Or it said something.
I don't remember that part.
Well, as an adult, they go back to the haunted house, which another issue that I had was the fact that apparently the sports store owner bought this creepy house just for the sake of doing a scavenger hunt once a year, which I thought that was another stupid thing. They should have explained why he bought the house. What value does that house have to him aside a stupid scavenger hunt? I mean, come on. Just like a little, like one line, like, oh, I bought this house because I was thinking of moving out here.
How do you know he bought the house? Did he say that?
Because he would not be allowed to do. It's an abandoned house.
About that.
He would not be allowed. It would be dangerous. He would have to do all sorts of repairs, all sorts of things. He clearly fixed it up, and so he had to have bought it. He had to have gotten it, and
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, he had to have bought it.
Well, I just read a book by Leslie Meyer about they had a Halloween party.
F Leslie Meyer. Who cares about Leslie Meyer, Safi?
Well, they had a whole town doing a party in an old house, and it was they asked the Chamber of Commerce or somebody if they could use it, and they had the whole town pitch in and fix it up. So I don't know.
Stop
it doesn't matter.
Just stop.
It really doesn't matter. But Marco thinks that he may have bought it just to have this party.
Well, it's because he completely transformed the house all by himself. They don't mention anything with I mean, this is a big part of the story. The fact that this is the house that creeped Joe out as a kid, and it's this abandoned house. And so I'm sorry, but there should have been some sort of an explanation. And they show as an adult that those glowing eyes were actually from a black cat. And guess what? The black cat has not aged at all. It's an adult, and apparently it's been an adult ever since it was 15 years ago. And it also looks brushed, it looks well brushed, it looks well fed, but it's this stray cat running around, and it's like, what? And it's like, really? That's the conclusion to this creepy flashback scene where it shows these and that's another thing too. I looked up pictures of glowing black cat eyes. They look nothing alike each other. And so I thought that was trash. The fact that they actually tried to tell us that was a black cat. That is ridiculous. It was stupid. It completely went against everything in the episode horror-wise. Because then, in my opinion, the actual Sleepy Hollow is the best part of the episode, where it's the adaptation of the story, because it's an actual horror story, and it actually works really well, and it ends really pretty creepily, and the ending is probably the darkest part of the whole episode, And I thought it was really well done. Safi, are you going to add anything?
Well, I really loved the episode. And don't do that, Marco. And then I just thought both were fine. The Scavenger Hunt is very elaborate. This isn't about, okay, let's see if you can find 20 walnuts and put them in a bag. And then there's a bunch of, you might find see if you can find a bird feather. No, these were like carnival games, and they were complicated but short, but you had to be very precise and talented and smart, and you had to have good eyesight. And I won't say anything more, but I mean, it was really good, and the house was well set up, and they had colored lights.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like Christmas lights or something that you would put outside. I'm talking about these special glowy lights that
Very
formed
expensive.
a pattern.
Very expensive.
It wasn't anything hokey or cheap. It was very elaborate, and the games were very vintage.
Which story did you prefer, though? I mean, did you prefer one or the other, or
Well,
did you like both equally?
I think I like both equally. The Sleepy Hollow thing, I watched the TV series, and I've seen the movie with Johnny Depp. I know Marco doesn't like it. It was okay. I don't remember it being anything special, but, I've seen the different versions, and of it, and it was it was a good version. It's the basic story. So, what happens to Ichabod Crane after he sees the Headless Horseman? We don't know. Is it really bad? Did he get killed? Did he run away and hide because he's ashamed? Who knows? And it was just good. I think it's a very well done, and it's short. That's what's so funny. It's short and sweet, and the dog is just so cute and so well trained. Jack Russell Terriers are known for how smart they are and how trainable they are. So
it clearly shows that the Ichabod dies, though, because Ichabod is played by that tiny little dog. And I'm sorry, but but the Headless Horseman throwing a giant flaming pumpkin at him in the head, that's gonna kill him. And so,
yeah.
You can just imagine that.
I know. I've been carrying our pumpkins off the porch and taking them to the side of the yard, and I could barely carry them. I have one more to do. I was about to die. They're so heavy. And if one of those heavy pumpkins hit poor little Wishbone in the head, he'd be toast. So, anyway, I gave the episode an A+.
I give it an A+ too.
And despite any little, problem you might have with it, or anything.
they're just little like things that I wish would have been done better. Like, I don't think it should have been a black cat. That's for dang sure.
Well, it's also a bad thing for black cats. People get upset about black cats at Halloween, and they get abused.
Yeah.
And they warned on YouTube. They talked about this. The owners of Cola Marmalade, who now live in Florida, they have a black cat. And they talked about this for Halloween. Please be careful. If you have a black cat, keep them in. And watch out. Don't let people abuse them.
I just thought that was stupid. And then you have the fact that this black cat is roaming around this abandoned house for no reason. There's no owner around.
And that might be mice there.
There's no owner around. None of the characters even care about it. They don't even stop to wonder, is it hungry? Is it thirsty? It's so stupid the way that they had to do that with the black cat. They should have just left it a creepy thing that might have been a ghost. Who knows what it was? That would have been. And then you have the fact that it spoke. I mean, the cats can't speak. And so it's said a word. I mean, what's the deal?
Well, they can't, but listen, they can't, here they have Wishbone talks up a storm.
Yeah, but then they show the cat all these other times and it never speaks again.
Oh.
So,
Okay. Well,
I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, but anyway,
Okay.
something. One last thing that I wanted to bring up was the fact that there are some things about the Sleepy Hollow story that I kind of question. I think that it's kind of strange the fact that Ichabod, he uses all these different techniques that he knows how to use against the supernatural. That's another thing.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention that. Like, didn't he throw salt over his shoulder to do that one?
He had a bell, and he crossed a bridge. He did all this stuff, and it didn't work against the headless horseman, quote unquote.
It didn't.
And so why didn't he figure out that that's a effing human?
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there in front of you. And so I thought that was kind of creepy. And I thought it was really well done in terms of being like a horror short story, and I thought it was really well done. But I would have liked to have found out, what are the supernatural things that he has dealt with? Like, is he just BSing everyone? Or has he actually dealt with supernatural stuff before? Because, as I said, he has all these techniques he uses. Like, he's the ghost Van Helsing. And so I would have liked to have known that. Because there's a lot of things in the Sleepy Hollow story that are sort of left up to interpretation. Whereas with the actual story with the scavenger hunt, everything is sort of like laid all out there.
Yeah. And also I wanted to say that Washington Irving was the one who wrote Sleepy Hollow. I don't think I mentioned that at all. So that's it.
Anything else that you want to mention, Safi?
Nope.
Like the fact that the villain in Sleepy Hollow looks like Chris Sarandon?
No, Marco, you can say that if you want.
He looks like Bargain Bin Chris Sarandon. He was creepy too. I mean, who knows what he's all about? Because, spoiler alert, he's the one who kills Wishbone, Ichabod. He's the one who dresses up as the Headless Horseman, and it's basically so that he can marry the rich girl. And so I would like to learn more about his character as well.
All right, well, that's it for Halloween week, and we're going to be doing
List videos,
which
Fargo.
And Fargo is coming up tomorrow. Well, Monday, really. It'll be on tomorrow night, in the middle of the night.
Probably be another trash episode.
Well, it's getting near the end, so we'll see.
But what should people do, Safi?
They should like and subscribe, or dislike, or make a comment. What do you think about this? What do you think happened to Ichabod Crane? Do you think he got wasted by a pumpkin in the head, or he ran away because he was ashamed and because he's supposed to be a scholar? And why would a scholar be superstitious? Why would a scholar who's very well educated be scared of anything?
Because he has experiences, quote unquote, with the supernatural. He's dealt with them before. That's why I said there's a lot of like unexplored territory that kind of makes it like a very like interesting story with a lot of like stuff that you could think about.
Yep. So stay tuned for our next episode about Fargo. The next whatever it's called, I have no idea.
East/West is what it's called.
Who knows what that means? Anyway. And then, of course, what we mean by list videos is like
top 10 of 2019.
Yeah.
Top 10 of the century. I mean, not the century. Top 10 of the decade.
I don't know what it is with millennials, and they like to rank everything. And I just, before we started doing this, I just watched movies for entertainment. I didn't really critically look at them, and now that we've done this channel for a year,
well, you watched
at least,
this.
I can't help myself but critically review it. But Marco is much more critical reviewer than I am.
But you didn't critically look at Wishbone. I mean, you basically acted like there was like no problems whatsoever.
No, there's little problems, but I don't care about it. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, it doesn't matter to me either, but I still want to mention it because it exists.
I figure that we don't really do a lot of children's things, and it's good for parents to have something to read or hear about a movie or a book. It's not just, oh, I hate it all because it might have something, you're afraid for your child, and you're a little bit, they might be too afraid for nothing,
like
for no reason.
Like the peanut butter solution.
I don't know. And then, so, I appreciated that when you and my other son were young, that there wasn't really that much to look at or read about. I just had to make my own judgments. But this is just a really fun episode. It was very pleasant. And it was also Halloween.
And it's on YouTube for free.
Right. And so I appreciated that. It was a very stressful week. And it was just so pleasant to look at that and escape. And it's not a big thing where you're delving into it and it's very serious. And a week like this, you don't want to look at something serious. You wanted something as a release, an escape. And this is a little bit of an escape or release from stress. So I appreciated that. So that's it, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.